Leah, what are some of your top tips to feel more confident while speaking on video?
First of all, I want to define confidence. And this is a word that people have been saying for many years, and especially in recent years. And
Yeah.
it sometimes can feel like it's something that's outside of ourselves. And this is a huge problem because the literal definition of confidence is to boldly trust.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
what's happening in some of these virtual spaces is that we're not always able to trust ourselves. And that's not just in the virtual world, of course. And this can be due to so many things. It can be due to speaking nerves that come out of nowhere seemingly, and they make us feel too uncomfortable to articulate ourselves. It can be due to oppressive systems or real uncomfortable environments that are not making you feel safe. It can be due to Zoom fatigue and the way that virtual communication seems to sap our energy and take so much of our presence and focus, right?
Right.
So the key to confidence in this space is actually really counterintuitive, because if I were to listen to my body in a moment of nervousness, it would tell me to do the opposite of what I'm going to ask you to do now. But it's really around the words stillness, silence, and spaciousness. And to access that, I'd love to share a few tools that I find to be most helpful in this arena.
Yeah.
So one of the most common things that happens during virtual meetings is that people are leaning in unconsciously. And
Right.
it's a way to feel like more connected and closer to people. But I was noticing this years ago, and when I would walk by conference rooms at offices too. And we could talk about why that's happening. I think from what I hear from people, it's to show I'm engaged, to show I'm listening. But that's not going to help you feel confident, because your body becomes constricted and it
Right.
impacts negatively your actual hormonal confidence. So leaning back, and this has been studied by wonderful social scientists like Amy Cuddy and John Neffinger and Matthew Kohut, leaning back and taking up space actually improves your hormonal confidence. And I advise people to have a pillow here if it feels like you're too far away, and then to lean back, really allowing your body to relax. And that is a novel idea, I think, that we have to be relaxed to communicate with confidence.
Yeah.
I find that to be true. So leaning back is always going to be my first piece of advice. It's directly related to your camera level as well. So for people who are looking straight down at their laptop, they are going to actually have to curl in more. So I'm always advising that you raise your laptop. My laptop right now is on about 8 books, 10 inches of raised level. And so that enables me to lean back, and you're actually, I think, able to receive more of my personality in my eyes by doing that.
Yeah.
So that is so important. Otherwise, there are so many distractions in the virtual realm. So we can do things before we get on important meetings or calls, like disable notifications and do an internet speed test. So many things that we can do to make sure we're not distracted. But in the moment, you can actually use eye contact to train your focus. So a big question is, where should I look when I'm speaking on video calls? And if you just choose one place, or even your notes, or even the person who's making you feel the most comfortable or confident, and just look at them, it's actually going to help you not lose your train of thought and remain focused on what you're trying to say, because your attention is actually grounded instead of moving around. It also helps people focus on you more, because you can see how this video is a microscope for presence. And just by not being still, right, it's probably less easy to understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps,
Distracting.
yeah, it goes a long way. The other really important thing in order to preserve our energy in this mode is to actually pull your vocal volume back about 75% to 75%.
Okay.
Because these video conference softwares are picking up more of our vocal volume. So if we're leaning in and then we're pushing vocally, first of all, we're overexerting and exhausting ourselves, but it probably feels a little intense for you too.
Right.
And then I'm not as, letting people just come to me. I call this the pull. How can you trust people to come to you on video?
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
then The last thing I'll say is about rate of speech. This is not new to the virtual world of us feeling like we have to speak really fast in order to get a word in because we might be interrupted or we might lose our train of thought. And it's so variable on how we might feel in this realm. But to try to slow your rate of speech if you're someone who has a tendency to speak fast. And with intentional pausing and slowed rate of speech, we're helping people more better understand what we're saying. We're being more inclusive, and we're giving ourselves micro moments to take a pause to think about what we want to say. And we're feeling less rushed. It's so important. And so if you're in a virtual space where everyone's trying to get a word in and everyone's interrupting each other, I know this is one of the biggest questions I get right now. And my advice is to try to take the conversation. So you might use some intentional filler to grab. So you can signal that you're thinking by taking a break, just a momentary pause to reground yourself, and then you can begin. You don't even have to continue saying what you were just saying. It's kind of amazing.
Yeah.
But try not to be sucked into the rate of speech going so quickly because it's not going to serve your voice. But it is a really tricky business these days at work.
It is such awesome tips, Leah. Thanks so much.
Sure. Thank you.